Yeah, let's see the next concept. What is an exception? As of now, we have discussed exception, exception, exception. Like so many times, we have like taking the name of exception. So what exactly exception is? What exactly? Let's discuss what exactly exception is. Okay. See, this exception is an object which occurs at runtime. Okay, and it will describe the nature of message, what exactly it is. Okay, why it is occurring, something like that. Okay, so what is nature of message? What is nature of message? What is nature of message? So let's discuss what is nature of message. See, a nature of message can be a system message. Okay, it could be a system error message or it could be a user friendly message. So a nature of message could be a system error message, or it could be what? User friendly message. User friendly message. Okay, so exception is an object which occurs at runtime. Exception is an object which occurs at runtime. Okay, so and it will describe the runtime error message will describe the nature of message. What would be the nature of message? It would be a system error message, or it could be a user friendly message. It will decide the nature of message, what message it is actually. Okay, so now let's see how an exception occurs in Java runtime environment. How an exception occurs in Java runtime environment. In Java runtime environment. How an exception occurs in Java runtime environment. Okay, fine. Let's see this one. This is kind of a little confusing. I'll try to explain it as simple as possible. Okay. First point, whenever we pass, whenever we pass irrelevant input, whenever we pass irrelevant input. Okay. To whom? To a Java program. To a Java program. To a Java program. JVM cannot process that irrelevant input. JVM cannot process that irrelevant input. Irrelevant input. Since JVM is not able to process the user input, hence it can contact to the JRE. So if JVM is not passing the input which is passed by the end user, so it will connect to the JRE for getting appropriate message or appropriate exception. What would be the cause why it is not processing it? So it will contact to the JRE, and the JRE will give the cause what exactly it is happening. Okay, inside it will give you an exception message, or it will give you an exception class which is causing. For example, let's say there is a method called addition addition. Okay, and addition will be taking the two params. Okay, let's say I'm passing two params, int a comma int b. Okay, so and this is not returning anything. Okay, void. Okay, so now I'll be performing addition of these numbers. I'll say a plus b. Okay, so now in my client application, from my client application, what I'll do is, let's say this is a class A. Inside a class A, I have defined the addition method. I'm creating an object of A equals to new A, and A dot, I'll be making a call to the addition method. Here, what I'll do is, passing the, instead of passing the, instead of passing the int values, I'll pass the string. Okay. Okay. Something like this. Okay. So at that time, So first you'll be giving the input. Okay. So let's say we are reading from the keyboard. Okay. Everything is fine. We are reading from the keyboard, but instead of using the integers, you have given the string values. Okay. So input is given by the Java programmer to a program. Okay. Okay. To this particular method, JVM will check JVM will check the user input. If the user input here, the user input it will check. If the user input is valid, it will process it. If it is not valid, it will contact the JRE to give the exception so that the end user should understand that why it is ignoring to process your input. So it will say this number format exception. You are expecting the integer value, but you are passing the string over here. Got it? So this is an analogy actually for how the exception is occurring. When a end user is entering the wrong input, okay, so we are expecting the integer value, but you are passing the string. So at that time, what JVM will do? JVM cannot process that irrelevant input. Okay, so it will contact to the JRE. JRE will check the input and it will give the appropriate exception class. Okay, so exception class will in itself tell that if it is a number format exception, so it will tell that like we have to understand that we have to enter the valid user ID and pass. So valid, sorry, not user ID, valid type. We have to pass it. Okay, fine. See, actually, what will happen is, see, whenever you are using the whenever you are entering the input, so it will be processed by the to the job program. It will be processed by the JVM. JVM internally connected to the JRE. Internally, again, JRE will be connecting to the the our super class. Okay, what is our super class? Throwable. Throwable will decide what type of exception it is. But I don't want to discuss that one. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. So if you want me to add, I'll be adding it. So I'll say so. JRE will be discussing with the throwable because the throwable is having because it is a super class for all the exceptions, right? It is having the nature. What would be the exceptions? The fitting proper fitting exceptions should be given to the end user so that he'll be understanding that exception. Okay. So the throwable will be giving that exception back to the JRE. JRE will be giving the exception back to the JVM. JVM from there it will be displaying into our console. This is what actually happening is. Okay, fine. So this is what how an exception occurs in a Java runtime environment. Regarding this, I have given a brief notes on the notes, so you can read the notes. As of now, I can't there is a diagram I have given in my notes. So you just go through it and you'll be able to identify like what exactly how it is internally. JVM is connecting to the JRE, JRE is connecting to the throwable, how the throwable is deciding what type of exception it is and all. And I have given a brief overview on this one. Okay. So let's discuss the how to handle the exception here. An exception is occurred when you are entering the invalid input to the Java program. The JVM cannot process that irrelevant input, and it will produce the and it will connect to the JRE. JRE will be internally it will be connecting to the throwable, and the throwable will decide what type of exception for this particular invalid entry. So it will decide and it will give it to the JRE. So JRE will give to the JVM. JVM will give to the Java programmer. So Java programmer can able to see and can able to rectify that error, and even like it will try to convert that system error messages into user friendly error messages. So whatever the thing it is giving by the throwable class, it is a exception class. So what we have to do is exception class is nothing but it is a system generated error message. So what we have to do is we as the programmers we will be converting that error messages into the user friendly error messages, because system error messages cannot be understandable by the normal users. So what we are doing is we are converting that error messages into user friendly error messages. Let's discuss that topic in the next video. Okay, that's all.